Okay.
We're good.
So you've been out there, you've looked back, you've got some steps, you've got a first step.
Mm-hmm.
So what's between you and getting this desired state?
Desired state?
Well, this outcome.
Discipline.
Discipline.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So in the sense that you need more discipline, or?
Yeah, I need to block out the time. And I think once I start it,
Mm-hmm.
just actually get in the process, it'll happen for itself. But it will happen on its own. But
Okay.
it's chunking it down because it seems overwhelming because of the time commitment.
Okay, so you know how to chunk it down.
Yes.
Right. Mm-hmm. And that's something that you are going to schedule somewhere in here to do, I would imagine. And having said that, it didn't hurt to imagine it. And let me, as a coach, as an assistant, as a guide to you, offer you another possibility.
Okay.
Which is that I would imagine you've had a pretty interesting history. That you have a lot of different resourceful states, emotional and mental experiences in your past. And I'm curious that if one of those or more were brought here, what would make this project so much easier?
I think the meditation at night.
Okay.
It would, maybe free up my mind to come up with things that I haven't even thought about.
Okay. And you can schedule that meditation in. Okay. Okay. And both of these are good. She's got, I'm going to chunk things down. I've got this meditation practice, and you could actually visualize along the way when you're going to meditate. You could actually see yourself doing that on the evenings, if that's when you do it. Okay. And I'm thinking more in the NLP sense of a resource. The idea is that some people say, I need more discipline, right? I need to make myself do it. Does it sound like the trader I was just talking about? Exactly. What I'm thinking is that there's, in your past, in your experience, a lot of fun, a lot of different kinds of experiences. In other words, a lot of different resource states. That if you had one of those resource states, like being passionate about something, or seeing humor in it, or the curiosity, or I see in that smile kind of a pixie playfulness, that if that resource state was present, that would change the quality of this journey and make this that much more fun and that much easier.
Right.
Am I on track here?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. So, here's the deal. What I'd like you to do, what I invite you to do, is to go back to the past. Well, I'm going to have you, listen before you do it. I'm going to go back to the past and go get that resource. Go back to that time and gather that resource up. And if you feel like you're taking it away from your past, you can always make a copy. Computer metaphors work. Neurolinguistic programming. You can make a copy.
Okay.
But you want to make a full and complete kinesthetic, visual art copy, right?
Okay.
And then what we're going to have you do is bring that resource to a place in the future where you'd like it to be. In other words, it could be right in the next moment, or maybe it's someplace in between here that would really supercharge this whole thing.
Okay. I've got the experience.
Okay.
I know exactly what I'm going to focus on.
All right.
So go in the past.
Go in the past.
All right.
Okay, and gather that up.
Okay.
Okay, now step out of the past and bring it around and put it right into that moment where you want it. Okay. That's right. Feel free to coach me.
Okay.
Okay. And do you want it just in that moment, or would you like it in some of the moments to follow?
Oh, no, I want it through the whole process.
Okay, then go ahead. Having got it fully and completely in that moment, allow yourself to move it through the other ones, all the way up to the goal, if that's what you want.
Okay. Great.
Okay, and she's doing it in her mind's eye as opposed to physically. It's a choice. We're seeing her do it. You can watch her take the steps with her head, right? Okay. Take a breath. That's all yours.
Ooh, thank you.
All right, thank you. Is this another easy thing to do? What are we doing? Doing a variation on a circle of excellence, on placing an anchor. Bless you, and you too. Because we are people, creatures, with all the resources we need. But I'm unhappy with the word need. We're with all the resources we could need or want. And very often more than we can imagine. Because you think back on certain moments when something incredible happened and you had some feeling or some insight or ability, and it's still there. And we know from the mirror neuron ideas now, we know from our experience in NLP, if you go back to that moment and vivify it, then your neurology has it, and then you can take that around and bring that into the moment or moments where you want it to be there. Now, what are you doing? You're taking the V and the A, the visual and auditory of this steps, and you're bringing this new K in, and you're making new experiences that you're going to be having. But you already had them. So it's going to be easier to have them. Aren't we clever creatures? All right. So this exercise, you've just seen it, is with your partners again, is that you set it up. Now they've got steps from here to there. And then you can say, well, what's between here and there? And they might say, well, a lot of steps. You know, they're going to, in other words, going to have some reaction. And then you're going to say, so what resource, what emotional state, what idea, what kind of skills, if you had them present here, would make this so much easier, so much more enjoyable? And if they pick something like discipline, then you want to go, okay, discipline. Well, let me ask you, you know, is what will this, you know, the discipline, being able, what will that do for you? Right? Because you want to get to, remember the idea of chunking up. You know, what's important about discipline? What will discipline do for you? You were looking for something bigger. Because they're going to want to do it the way they've done it. And you're there to offer something new and different. That's the whole idea of this interaction, the explorer and the guide. So if they want, I want confidence. You know, and well, what's confidence going to do? You know, it's going to make me feel it's possible. He says, when was a time in your life? Because if you got yourself here, you've had experiences in your life where nothing could stop you. It's like you saw something and you just went for it. What if that experience were present here? Or what if it were, as you were saying, humor, pixiness, playfulness? It's a different way of understanding a resource. Instead of like, well, I need more discipline. And I'm thinking, yeah, that would probably work. And what's going to make it easier? What's going to make it more enjoyable? What's going to make it a delight to interact with this? And you talk and you have the voice tone, right? Because the voice tone carries. So you're talking to the person too, and you look at them and you go, oh, I bet you know how to make good trouble. Yeah. And he goes, yeah, I do. I had a few of those experiences. Okay, be a little ecological, you know. What would be appropriate? That playfulness, because you can always take the state, yeah? The curiosity. What's around the next corner? So, when you've got that, have the person go back, get the state, of course, you're calibrating, two in your group, they glow a little bit, you go, good, you go, now take that with you, step off, come around, and put that right into the moment, on that path, on those steps where you want it. And if they look at you like, they wouldn't have more steps, then you say, okay, now that it's there fully and completely, go ahead and carry it forward, noticing how it makes your journey so much easier, more delightful, and worthwhile. Or words to that effect. Okay? Okay. Don't have too much fun. Just enough to do it exquisitely. Let's go. No!
You're powerful.
Incredible.
Or it could be, how are we now? Yeah, you know, there's... Okay, that works. That works.
You want to see the hokey pokey?
Well, you know that...
That was an exercise they did with me yesterday.
Uh-huh.
It freed me up from...
It has a very good look.
It does.
Yes, it does.
Resource there.
That's good. That's good. I also like that whole thing about, you know, put your right foot bit in, put your foot, and then put your whole self in.
Yes.
You know, it's just, we could utilize that. Yeah. Yeah.
Shake it all down.
Yeah.
So, any other comments or reactions? Yeah.
I was kind of. I have a friend who made some goals, very specific goals, when he was about 16 years old, that he wanted to be a millionaire by the time he was 30. And when he made those goals, he didn't take into consideration wife and kids.
Right.
And he's 34 now, not a millionaire. But the way he talks about how he hasn't achieved his goals, there's almost like a little bit of resentment towards. I mean, she got pregnant and all this kind of stuff that weren't. So how does he reevaluate his? How does he reevaluate his goals so that? I mean, because when he made those goals, he was 16. I mean, he had no.
Yeah. This is, and it's always like that in life. That we're always making our goals based on our present knowledge, which is sometimes is just to have the person make a short-term, opposite of what they're doing goal, at least turns them a little bit and can be useful. And you point out somebody who's made a financial goal at 16, $1 million. What's $1 million to a 16-year-old?
A lot of money.
A lot of, yeah, a lot of trading cards, a lot of bicycles,
Right.
Whatever. A lot of adult magazines. I mean, whatever it is, And then now he's the millionaire. He's not. I didn't quite catch it. He's not. Oh, so he's pre-planning for disappointment. Yeah. And here's the deal. Actually, this leads into what we're going to do in just a bit. The question there is about how a specific kind of goal can actually get you in trouble. Right? And this is where, what is the purpose of that goal? This goes to the other dimension, if you will. The idea that we've been talking about the future out here, we're indicating the past. We've had people step out into an observer position. And the thing is that people do this kind of thing all the time anyway, right? Well, think about it. I mean, people, they'll project, I wonder what I'll have for lunch, go into the future. People will go, oh, yeah, that restaurant like that was really good. Even for lunch, they're flipping around in time, and they're in the experience, or they're watching the experience from the outside, going, and then stepping back in, or somebody tripped, and they get that person's feelings. And people don't realize they're doing all these changes so quickly, and that they add up to what we call strategies. So one of the ways by physicalizing it, getting a person to experience those differences. And, the mat, we have the Trimurti mat here, is another effort at creating a physicalization. The idea that when you've done this, the person goes, okay, well, here's where you're in your own body, and here's where you go back to the past, and here's where you're planning for that future, and you go into that future. And for many people, it's very useful to sort that out. If the person has a kinesthetic leaning, then doing the timeline work, doing the walking we were doing this morning is very useful. And I'm sure a number of you noted that Judy did less walking, although she certainly looks capable. She did it in her mind's eye, her mind's ear, her mind's body. And you can do that as well. In fact, it used to be with NLP that we taught it all by sitting down. That people would do these things. It's just when we physicalized them and brought them out like this, it became easier for people to understand and appreciate. So, you've got the dimension of time. We got the dimension of other people and observer. You're talking about the next dimension here. And the next dimension up is about importance. What's important about making $1 million? The idea that people can become too attached to a particular outcome and forget that those outcomes are only there because they represent the fulfillment of certain criteria. What's important about $1 million? I'll have you be him for a moment. We'll just play a
Well, from
role play.
what I know of him, I think it's just something.
What's his name? Give me a name. Doesn't matter.
All right, Kieran. His name's Kieran.
Kieran, what's important about being a millionaire?
I think for him it was just he just made a thing in his mind of having $1 million, period. I mean, that was success to him, I think.
All right. And what is it that makes $1 million success?
From what I know of this guy?
Sure.
I think he can retire or something. I think is what he thinks.
Okay, and what's important about retiring? Being able to retire when you want? Ah, so what's important is being able